All right, here we have algebra 2 question. It says several parabolas and equations are shown below. Match each graph with its equation. Justify your choices and share any shortcuts you discover with your, what is that, teammates. Okay, so now the answers are given, but I don't care about the answer. I'm going to just drive the answers myself here. I'll solve it. So we have these zeros. These are called zeros. They intersect. These are the zeros. That's a zero. That's a zero. Those are roots. So just to understand this, how to do these problems, I'll go back and I'm gonna basically reverse engineer it. Before we do this, so let's go back. Let's go back here. Back then, before even you graph it, you had things like this. They're asking, for example, y is equal to x squared plus 3x plus 2. And then, or even some before that, even before you get this, you had this 0 equal to x squared plus 3x plus 2. And even before that, you didn't have an equation, you had just expression, which was like this x squared plus, all of these are related, x squared plus 3x plus 2. So when you had this expression, you learn factoring. They teach you about factoring. And then why we did that, and now you're going to see with the equation what it comes up next. We said what two numbers you multiply, that's one method. Of course, books comes up with diamond method, rectangle method, different method. This is what I do always. It's simple. Say what two numbers you multiply. That's same thing basically for diamond and rectangle method. What two numbers you multiply? 3. You get what two numbers you multiply. This is called the product, the 2, and 3 is the sum. What two numbers you multiply? You get 2, and you add them, you get 3. So you say what two numbers you multiply? You get 2. It's 1 and 2, right? The only thing. This is the simple one, and then you line up, right, list all the numbers that you multiply, you get 2, and then if you add them you get 3, so these are the 1, and then you said okay, those are 1 and 2, so this could be factored out like this, x plus 1 and x plus 2. And so if you FOIL it, you're going to get this, and this is related to now what you're doing there. Be careful, look at this. Now these are things that you're going to have it on the x-intercepts and the zeros that you're going to see with the problem that you have. And then later on, you figured there are problems times that you set it up equal to 0, like when you want to find x-intercept. When you're graphing, they said find x-intercept. Oh, this is bothering. X-intercept, you put y0 and then solve for x. So if you set up this y0, you get this. And you solve for x. Now, if you want to solve for x here, how would you solve it? You cannot solve it if you don't factor it. So we're using this 0, the property that 0 has. When you multiply two numbers or lots of numbers, if the answer is 0, you can say that either one of those numbers that you're multiplying could be 0. So we use that property and say, okay, then we're going to factor this out. If you factor this out, factoring means multiplication of these expressions, binomials. So we already factored it there. You know it's x plus 1 and x plus 2, right? So you know x plus 1 times x plus 2 is equal to 0. Therefore, either one of these should be 0, right? Could be 0. X plus 1 could be 0, or x plus 2 could be 0. So if you solve it, you see that x is equal to negative 1 and x equal to negative 2. So these are what's in your problem right now. X minus 1 and x negative 2. These are the zeros. Means if you put negative 1 into expression here, or even here, or even here, if you put negative 1, the whole thing is going to come out 0, because one of the print is going to be 0. And if you put negative 2, again, that's going to turn into 0, because one of the print is going to be 0. 0 times the other number is going to be 0. So we're using that here. Now we're going to go back and see, we're going to use this knowledge to solve these problems. So those are the numbers that you got, those negative 1 and 2. Let me graph this. Those numbers are, if we graph the parabola here, those are the x-intercept, in this case negative 1 right here, and negative 2 right here. Negative 1 and negative 2 means your parabola is crossing x-axis at these 2 points, negative 1 and negative 2. And you use that. Now we're going to use this to set up this parentheses. And then we're going to FOIL it. We're going to find out this quadratic equation. So we're going to go backward. Okay? So now you know x value is here -7. So x is equal to, let's change this. X is equal to -7, right? If you move it to left side, it's going to be x plus 7 equal to 0. So that's one of the factors, x plus 7. Second one is x equal to 4. That's the second one, x equal to 4, right? So if you move x4 left side, means subtract 4 from both sides. Let's do it step by step. It's going to be like this. So it's going to be x minus 4 equal to 0. So x minus 4 is the other factor. Now, if you put them together as a multiplication, see, it's backward what we did before. Like this, right? And then that's going to become our, basically, our expression. And if you FOIL it, that's going to become our polynomial quadratic equation. Quadratic. So this time this, it's going to be x squared. This time this, it's going to be -4x. This time this, plus 7x. This time this, -28. And if you simplify it, that's going to be x squared plus 3x minus 28. And that's y equal to that. That's going to be one of the equations. Right? We have it, right? That's b. So same thing we do for the next one. Next one we have, when it's touching point, you have even number of zeros. So it's touching. In this case, you're just dealing, later on, you're going to be dealing with the fourth to the fourth power, to the sixth power, all these. And then, but in this case, you're just doing to the second power, they're quadratics. So there are two roots. And then in this case, they're called repeated roots, means there's x equal to -3 and x equal to -3. There are two of them. So if you move this, it's going to be what? Move -3, move it, add 3 both sides, add 3, add 3. Let me erase this bottom one here from here. It's not cooperating today. Why is it like that? You were a good kid. So it's going to x plus 3 equal to 0. Same thing again, you have two of them, x equal to -3. That's also is going to turn to x plus 3 equal to 0. Therefore, two factors are what? X plus 3 and x plus 3. These are factors. If you put them, multiply together and FOIL it, it's going to be x squared plus 3x plus 3x plus 9. If you add them, it's going to be x squared plus 6x plus 9. And that's equal to y. That's going to be another one. That's, you can like, right, if you look at the answer, it might be like this, or even they might leave it like that. That's equal to y. Or even they can make it like this, y equal to x plus 3, because it's multiplication here, and they're both first power, so you add the power, is going to be 2. All of these are the same thing. Sorry. So that's second problem. And then third one, here, same thing. So one of them is x equal to -1/2. The other one is x equal to 3/2. So if you add 1/2 to both sides, that's going to be x plus 1/2. That's one of the factors, right? Which is equal to 0. I'm going to skip that steps. Only let me write it. X plus 1/2 equal to 0. So that's one of the factors, x plus 1/2. Next one, if you subtract 3/2 from both sides, x minus 3/2 equal to 0, right? Therefore, x minus 3 is another factor. X minus 3/2. And if you put as a product multiplication, it's going to be like this. That's why. That's one way of showing it. Or if you look at the answer, if they didn't leave it like that, you can FOIL it. Let's FOIL it that time that. It's going to be x squared. This time this, -3/2x. This times this, plus 1/2x. And this time this, -3/4, right? These two can add together. It's going to be x squared minus 2 over 2x, which is same as negative 1x, which is negative x, minus 3/4. And that's y equal to, this should be there. Okay, now we're going to look at the answer, see what's missing, why we don't have that answer there. All right, so this is the answer that's correct, but answers inside the book, they, as like the previous problem, we can leave it in different forms. So this, like this one, we can, it could be in this form, number 1, 2, so they're the different forms. So it looks like that's what they did with this problem too. Now we want to see what they did. So now if you want to go up reverse, this is the book from, what is that, Core Connections, CPM, page 277. So I'm going to go through the answer, see which one of these can have such answer, right? So x squared plus 10x plus 24, and if you factor this out, yeah, so just y equal to 4x squared minus 4x minus 3, right? So that's one of them. If you go back, even though this doesn't look like that, but if you go back, let's go back, and then if you factor out y equal to 4x squared minus 4x minus 3. So if you factor this out, you should get one of the zeros 1 over 2 and the other one 3 over 2. So let's do that. Or even without factoring, you've done quadratic formula, right? B. So let's do that. That's another one. X equal to, see, negative b plus minus. That's another way, since we didn't do this, I'll explain this one too. B squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now, if I use this quadratic formula to solve for x here, if my x's are negative 1/2 and 3 over 2, I'm right. So that problem number 6 is for I. Let's do that. Negative b. Negative b is what? Negative 4, negative 4, which is 4, plus minus 4 squared, which is going to be negative 4 squared, which is 16, minus 4ac. 4 times a times c, like that. C is negative 3 over 2a, 2 times a, 2 times 4. So x is equal to, oh, well, yeah, I need to stop you. 4 plus minus, now let's do the 16 minus 4 times 4, 16 times 3, 48. 48 is going to be 16 minus negative 48 over 8. X equal to 48 and 16, negative and negative becomes positive. That's positive. So if you add, then it's going to be what? 64. So 4 plus minus root 64 over 8, right? And then what is 64? It's just 8, right? So it's going to be 4 plus 8. That's one of the answers. Arrow. That's an arrow. 4 plus 8 over 8. And the arrow is 4 minus 8 over 8. What is this? 4 over 8 is 12 over 8. 12 over 8 is 3 over 2 if you simplify it. 4 minus 8 is negative 4. Negative 4 over 8 is negative 1 over 2. See, we got those answers. So in this case, we don't have it. You can go back and factor it and find that. So even you could have seen it. I could have seen it, but I didn't want to explain it because it's going to be a bit messy and hard, a little bit harder. This way was easier. So that's how you can get the third one.